Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're stepping into the book of Leviticus, the heart of God's instructions for a holy people, sacrifices, purity, the Day of Atonement, the great feasts. Let's listen together. As the evening shadows lengthened over the Israelite camp at the foot of Mount Sinai, the Lord called to Moses from within the sacred tent of meeting. His voice resonated like distant thunder, delivering instructions for the people, a guide to drawing near to the Holy One through offerings of the heart. The Lord called to Moses from the tent of meeting, speaking these words, "Tell the Israelites, when any of you brings an offering to the Lord, let it be from your livestock, from the herd or the flock. If the offering is a burnt sacrifice from the herd, bring a male without defect. Offer it willingly at the tent of meeting's entrance before the Lord. Lay your hand on the burnt offering's head, and it will be accepted to make atonement for you. Slaughter the bull before the Lord. Aaron's sons, the priests, will bring the blood and sprinkle it around the altar at the tent door. Skin the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. Aaron's sons will put fire on the altar and arrange the wood on the fire. The priests will lay the parts, head and fat, in order on the wood burning on the altar. Wash the internal organs and legs with water. The priest will burn all on the altar a burnt sacrifice, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If the offering is from the flock, sheep, or goats for a burnt sacrifice, bring a male without blemish. Slaughter it on the altar's north side before the Lord. Aaron's sons will sprinkle its blood around the altar. Cut it into pieces with head and fat. The priest will arrange them on the wood fire on the altar. Wash the internals and legs with water. The priest will bring and burn all on the altar, a burnt sacrifice, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If the burnt sacrifice to the Lord is birds, bring turtle doves or young pigeons. The priest will bring it to the altar, wring off its head, and burn it there. Drain the blood at the altar's side. Pluck away the crop with feathers and cast it east by the ashes. Cleave it by the wings, but not divide it fully. The priest will burn it on the altar's wood fire, a burnt sacrifice, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When anyone offers a grain offering to the Lord, let it be fine flour. Pour oil on it and add frankincense. Bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests. He will take a handful of flour and oil with all the frankincense, and burn this memorial on the altar, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The remnant of the grain offering belongs to Aaron and his sons. It is most holy from the Lord's fire offerings. If you bring a grain offering baked in an oven, let it be unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. If your offering is grain baked on a griddle, let it be fine flour unleavened, mixed with oil. Break it into pieces and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. If your offering is grain cooked in a pan, make it fine flour with oil. Bring the grain offering made this way to the Lord. Present it to the priest, who brings it to the altar. The priest takes a memorial portion and burns it on the altar, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. What remains belongs to Aaron and his sons, most holy from the Lord's fire offerings. No grain offering you bring to the Lord shall contain leaven. Burn no leaven or honey in any fire offering to the Lord. As an offering of firstfruits, you may bring them to the Lord, but they shall not be burned on the altar for a pleasing aroma. Season every grain offering with salt. Do not omit the salt of your God's covenant from your grain offering. With all offerings, offer salt. If you offer a grain offering of firstfruits to the Lord, bring green heads of grain roasted by fire, crushed from fresh ears. Put oil on it and lay frankincense thereon. It is a grain offering. The priest burns its memorial, part of the crushed grain in oil with all frankincense, and offering by fire to the Lord. If the offering is a peace sacrifice, and from the herd, male or female, bring it without blemish before the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it at the tent of meeting's door. Aaron's sons, the priests, sprinkle the blood around the altar. From the peace offering, present an offering by fire to the Lord, the fat covering the internals and all inner fat, the 2 kidneys and their fat by the flanks, the caul above the liver with the kidneys, remove it. Aaron's sons burn it on the altar, upon the burnt sacrifice on a wood fire, an offering by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If the peace offering to the Lord is from the flock, male or female, bring it without blemish. If a lamb, offer it before the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it before the tent. Aaron's sons sprinkle its blood around the altar. From the peace sacrifice, offer by fire to the Lord. Its fat, the whole rump removed close to the backbone, the fat covering internals and all inner fat, the 2 kidneys and their flank fat, the caul above the liver with kidneys, remove it. The priest burns it on the altar food of the fire, offering to the Lord. If the offering is a goat, offer it before the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it before the tent. Aaron's sons sprinkle the blood around the altar. Offer from it by fire to the Lord. The fat covering internals and all inner fat, the 2 kidneys and their flank fat, the caul above the liver with kidneys, remove it. The priest burns them on the altar food of the fire offering, a pleasing aroma. All fat is the Lord's. This is a perpetual statute for your generations in all dwellings. Eat no fat or blood. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, "Tell the people of Israel this. If someone sins by mistake and does something against any of my commands that should not be done, that person is guilty. If the anointed priest sins and causes the people to be guilty, he must bring a young bull without any flaws to the Lord as a sin offering for his sin. He shall bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, put his hand on the bull's head, and kill the bull before the Lord. The anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it into the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil of the sanctuary. The priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of sweet incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting, and he shall pour all the rest of the blood of the bull at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He shall remove from it all the fat of the bull for the sin offering, the fat that covers the inward parts, and all the fat that is on the inward parts, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them at the flanks, and the covering over the liver with the kidneys. He shall take that away, just as it is taken from the bull of the peace offerings. The priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering. The skin of the bull and all its flesh, with its head and legs and inward parts and waist, even the whole bull, he shall carry outside the camp to a clean place where the ashes are poured out, and burn it on wood with fire. It shall be burned where the ashes are poured out. If the whole congregation of Israel sins by mistake, and the matter is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they do something against any of the Lord's commands that should not be done, and are guilty, when the sin they have committed becomes known, then the congregation shall offer a young bull for the sin and bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the congregation shall put their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and the bull shall be killed before the Lord. The anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting, and shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He shall take all its fat from it and burn it on the altar. He shall do with the bull just as he did with the bull for a sin offering, so he shall do with this one. The priest shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. He shall carry the bull outside the camp and burn it just as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the congregation. When a ruler has sinned and done something by mistake against any of the commands of the Lord his God about things that should not be done, and is guilty, or if his sin that he has committed comes to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a male goat without flaw. He shall put his hand on the head of the goat and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out its blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering. He shall burn all its fat on the altar, just as the fat of the peace offering sacrifice. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. If any one of the common people sins by mistake while doing something against any of the Lord's commands about things that should not be done, and is guilty, or if his sin that he has committed comes to his knowledge, then he shall bring his offering, a female goat without flaw for his sin that he has committed. He shall put his hand on the head of the sin offering and kill the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of its blood with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar. He shall take away all its fat, just as the fat is taken away from the peace offering sacrifice, and the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The priest shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. If he brings a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without flaw. He shall put his hand on the head of the sin offering and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all its blood at the bottom of the altar. He shall take away all its fat, just as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the peace offering sacrifice, and the priest shall burn them on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire to the Lord. The priest shall make atonement for his sin that he has committed, and it shall be forgiven him. If someone sins and hears a public curse, but does not speak up as a witness, whether he saw or knew about it, he bears his guilt. Or if someone touches any unclean thing, like the carcass of an unclean wild animal or livestock or crawling creature, and it is hidden from him, he is unclean and guilty. Or if he touches human uncleanness, whatever defiles a person, and it is hidden from him, but he later knows, he is guilty. Or if someone swears thoughtlessly with his lips to do evil or good, whatever a person utters in an oath, and it is hidden from him, but he later knows, he is guilty in one of these. When he is guilty in one of these, he shall confess what he has sinned. He shall bring his trespass offering to the Lord for his sin, a female from the flock, a lamb or goat as a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin. If he cannot afford a lamb, he shall bring for his trespass 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the Lord, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer the sin offering first. Wring off its head from its neck, but not divide it completely. He shall sprinkle some of the sin offering's blood on the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be drained at the bottom of the altar. It is a sin offering. He shall offer the second as a burnt offering, according to the rule. The priest shall make atonement for him for his sin that he committed, and it shall be forgiven him. If he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then the one who sinned shall bring for his offering 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour as a sin offering. He shall put no oil on it and no frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. He shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take a handful of it as its memorial and burn it on the altar according to the offerings made by fire to the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning his sin that he committed in one of these, and it shall be forgiven him. The remnant shall be the priest's, like a grain offering. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, If someone commits a trespass and sins by mistake in the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring to the Lord as his trespass offering a ram without blemish from the flocks with your valuation, in shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, as a trespass offering. He shall make restitution for the harm he has done in the holy thing, and shall add 1/5 to it, and give it to the priest. The priest shall make atonement for him with a ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. If someone sins and commits any of the things forbidden by the Lord as commands, even if he did not know it, he is still guilty and shall bear his iniquity. He shall bring to the priest a ram without blemish from the flock, with your valuation, as a trespass offering. The priest shall make atonement for him concerning the mistake he made without knowing it, and it shall be forgiven him. It is a trespass offering. He has certainly trespassed against the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, Take Aaron and his sons with him, the garments, the anointing oil, a bowl for the sin offering, 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread. Gather the whole congregation at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Moses did as the Lord commanded, and the assembly gathered at the tent entrance. Moses said to the congregation, This is what the Lord has commanded to be done. Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. He put the tunic on him, girded him with the sash, clothed him with the robe, put the ephod on him, and girded him with the skillfully woven band of the ephod, binding it to him. He put the breastpiece on him and placed the Urim and Thummim in the breastpiece. He put the turban on his head, and on the front of the turban the golden plate, the holy crown, as the Lord commanded Moses. Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and all that was in it, sanctifying them. He sprinkled some of it on the altar 7 times and anointed the altar and all its utensils, and the basin and its stand, to sanctify them. He poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head and anointed him to sanctify him. Moses brought Aaron's sons, put tunics on them, girded them with sashes, and put caps on them, as the Lord commanded Moses. He brought the bull for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. He killed it, and Moses took the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, all around with his finger purifying. The altar then poured the blood at the base of the altar and sanctified it to make atonement on it. He took all the fat that was on the inward parts, the covering of the liver, the 2 kidneys and their fat, and Moses burned it on the altar. But the bull, its hide, flesh, and waste, he burned with fire outside the camp, as the Lord commanded Moses. He brought the ram for the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. He killed it, and Moses sprinkled the blood on the altar all around. He cut the ram into pieces, and Moses burned the head, the pieces, and the fat. He washed the inward parts and the legs with water, and Moses burned the whole ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a pleasing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. He brought the other ram, the ram of ordination, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. He killed it, and Moses took some of its blood and put it on the lobe of Aaron's right ear, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. He brought Aaron's sons, and Moses put some of the blood on the lobes of their right ears, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet, and Moses sprinkled the blood on the altar all around. He took the fat tail, all the fat that was on the inward parts, the covering of the liver, the 2 kidneys and their fat, and the right thigh. Out of the basket of unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake, a cake of bread anointed with oil, and 1 wafer, and put them on the fat and on the right thigh. He put all these in Aaron's hands and in his sons' hands, and waved them as a wave offering before the Lord. Moses took them from their hands and burned them on the altar on top of the burnt offering. They were an ordination offering for a pleasing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. Moses took the breast and waved it as a wave offering before the Lord. It was Moses' portion of the ram of ordination. As the Lord commanded Moses, Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood that was on the altar and sprinkled it on Aaron, on his garments, on his sons, and on his sons' garments with him, and sanctified Aaron, his garments, his sons, and his sons' garments with him. Moses said to Aaron and his sons, "Boil the flesh at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and eat it there with the bread that is in the ordination basket, as I commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it. What remains of the flesh and bread you shall burn with fire. You shall not go outside the entrance of the tent of meeting for 7 days, until the period of your ordination is completed, for it will take 7 days to ordain you. As has been done today, the Lord has commanded to be done to make atonement for you. You shall remain at the entrance of the tent of meeting day and night for 7 days, keeping the Lord's charge so that you do not die. For so I have been commanded. Aaron and his sons did all the things that the Lord commanded through Moses. On the 8th day Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. He said to Aaron, "Take a bull calf for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering, without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. Tell the people of Israel, take a male goat for a sin offering, a calf and a lamb both 1 year old without blemish for a burnt offering, an ox and a ram for peace offerings to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering mixed with oil, for today the Lord will appear to you." They brought what Moses commanded to the front of the tent of meeting, and all the congregation drew near and stood before the Lord. Moses said, "This is the thing that the Lord commanded you to do, so that the glory of the Lord may appear to you." Moses said to Aaron, "Draw near to the altar, offer your sin offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people, and offer the offering of the people, and make atonement for them, as the Lord commanded." Aaron drew near to the altar and killed the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. Aaron's sons brought the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, and poured out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat, the kidneys, and the covering from the liver, from the sin offering he burned on the altar, as the Lord commanded Moses. The flesh and the hide he burned with fire outside the camp. He killed the burnt offering. Aaron's sons handed the blood to him, and he sprinkled it against the altar on all sides. They handed the burnt offering to him in pieces with the head, and he burned them on the altar. He washed the inward parts and the legs and burned them with the burnt offering on the altar. He presented the people's offering, took the goat of the sin offering that was for the people, and killed it, and presented it as a sin offering like the first one. He presented the burnt offering and sacrificed it according to the regulation. He presented the grain offering, took a handful of it, and burned it on the altar, in addition to the morning's burnt offering. He killed the ox and the ram, the sacrifice of peace offerings for the people. Aaron's sons handed him the blood, and he sprinkled it against the altar on all sides. But the fat from the ox and from the ram, the broad tail, the fat covering the inward parts, the kidneys, and the covering of the liver, they placed the fat on the breasts, and he burned the fat on the altar. But the breasts and the right thigh, Aaron waved for a wave offering before the Lord as Moses had commanded. Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them. And he came down after sacrificing the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offerings. Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting. When they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. Fire came out from the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fat on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces. Then Nadab and Abihu, sons of Aaron, each took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and offered unauthorized fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord meant when he said, 'Through those who are near me, I will show myself holy, and before all the people I will be glorified.'" And Aaron was silent. Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Aziel the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, "Draw near. Carry your kindred away from the front of the sanctuary to a place outside the camp." Drew near and carried them by their tunics out of the camp, as Moses had said. And Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar his sons, "Do not dishevel your hair, and do not tear your vestments, or you will die, and wrath will strike all the congregation. But your kindred, the whole house of Israel, may mourn the burning that the Lord has sent. You shall not go outside the entrance of the tent of meeting, or you will die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is on you. And they did as Moses had ordered. The Lord spoke to Aaron, Drink no wine or strong drink, neither you nor your sons, when you enter the tent of meeting, that you may not die. It is a statute forever throughout your generations. You are to distinguish between the holy and the common, and between the unclean and the clean. And you are to teach the people of Israel all the statutes that the Lord has spoken to them through Moses. Moses spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar, and Ithamar his remaining sons. Take the grain offering that is left from the Lord as offerings by fire, and eat it unleavened beside the altar, for it is most holy. You shall eat it in a holy place, because it is your due and your sons' due, from the offerings by fire to the Lord. For so I am commanded. But the breast that is elevated, and the thigh that is raised, you shall eat in any clean place, you and your sons, and your daughters as well. For they are given as your due and your sons' due, from the sacrifices of the peace offerings of the people of Israel. The thigh that is raised and the breast that is elevated they shall bring, together with the offerings by fire of the fat, to raise for an elevation offering before the Lord. They are to be your due, and that of your children forever, as the Lord has commanded. Then Moses made inquiry about the goat of the sin offering, and it had already been burned. He was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and said, Why did you not eat the sin offering in the sacred area? For it is most holy, and God has given it to you, that you may remove the guilt of the congregation, to make atonement on their behalf before the Lord. Since its blood was not brought into the inner part of the sanctuary, you should certainly have eaten it in the sanctuary, as I commanded. And Aaron spoke to Moses, See, today they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. And yet such things as these have befallen me. If I had eaten the sin offering today, would it have been acceptable to the Lord? And when Moses heard that, he agreed. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, telling them to say to the people of Israel, These are the animals you may eat from all the beasts on the earth. Any animal that has a split hoof, completely divided, and chews the cud, you may eat that. But do not eat these that chew the cud, or have a split hoof. The camel chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean for you. The rock badger chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean for you. The hare chews the cud, but does not have a split hoof. It is unclean for you. The pig has a split hoof, but does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. Do not eat their meat, or touch their dead bodies. They are unclean to you. You may eat any creature in the water that has fins and scales, whether in seas or rivers. But all in the seas or rivers without fins and scales, whether swarming creatures or other living things in the water, they are detestable to you. They remain detestable. Do not eat their meat, and regard their dead bodies as detestable. Anything in the water without fins or scales is detestable to you. These birds you must regard as detestable. Do not eat them. They are detestable. The eagle, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite of any kind, every raven of any kind, the ostrich, the nighthawk, the gull, the hawk of any kind, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, the heron of any kind, the hoopoe, and the bat. All winged insects that walk on all fours are detestable to you. But you may eat winged insects that walk on all fours, and have jointed legs above their feet to jump on the ground. Of them you may eat locusts of any kind, bald locusts of any kind, crickets of any kind, and grasshoppers of any kind. But all other winged insects with 4 feet are detestable to you. You become unclean from these. Whoever touches their dead body is unclean until evening. Whoever carries any part of their dead body must wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. Every animal that has a split hoof but is not completely divided, or does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. Anyone who touches them becomes unclean. All that walk on their paws, among animals that walk on all fours, are unclean to you. Whoever touches their dead body is unclean until evening. The one who carries their dead body must wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. They are unclean to you. These swarming things are unclean to you among those that swarm on the ground: the weasel, the mouse, great lizards of any kind, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the common lizard, the sand lizard, and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that swarm. Whoever touches them when dead is unclean until evening. Anything on which any of them falls when dead becomes unclean, whether a wooden vessel, clothing, skin, or sack, any item used for work. Put it in water, and it is unclean until evening. Then it becomes clean. Every earthen vessel into which any falls, whatever is in it, becomes unclean, and you must break it. Any food that could be eaten becomes unclean if water from such a vessel touches it. Any drink in such a vessel becomes unclean. Anything on which part of their dead body falls becomes unclean. An oven or stove must be smashed. They are unclean and remain so for you. But a spring or cistern collecting water stays clean, though whatever touches their dead body is unclean. If part of their dead body falls on seed for sowing, it stays clean. But if water is put on the seed and part falls on it, it is unclean to you. If any animal you may eat dies, anyone touching its dead body is unclean until evening. Anyone who eats meat from a deceased animal should clean their clothing and remain ritually impure until sunset. The same applies to anyone who handles the animal's remains. They should clean their clothing and remain impure until sunset. Every swarming thing that swarms on the ground is detestable. Do not eat it. Whatever crawls on its belly, or walks on all fours, or has many feet among swarming things on the ground, do not eat them, for they are detestable. Do not make yourselves detestable with any swarming thing. Do not defile yourselves with them and become unclean, for I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, for I am holy. Do not defile yourselves with any swarming creature that moves on the ground, for I am the Lord who brought you up from Egypt to be your God. You shall be holy, for I am holy. This is the law about animals, birds, every living creature that moves in the waters, and every creature that swarms on the ground, to distinguish between unclean and clean, between creatures that may be eaten and those that may not. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell the people of Israel, if a woman conceives and bears a male child, she shall be ceremonially unclean for 7 days, as during her menstruation. On the 8th day, the boy's foreskin shall be circumcised. She shall continue in the blood of her purification for 33 days. She shall not touch any holy thing or enter the sanctuary until her purification days are complete. If she bears a female child, she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her menstruation. She shall continue in her purification blood for 66 days. When her purification days are fulfilled, for a son or daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the tent entrance a year old, lamb for a burnt offering, and a pigeon or turtle dove for a sin offering. He shall offer it before the Lord and make atonement for her. Then she shall be clean from her blood flow. This is the law for her who bears a child, male or female. If she cannot afford a lamb, she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for burnt offering, one for sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean." The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "When a person has a swelling, scab, or bright spot on the skin of their body, and it becomes a serious skin condition, they shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or one of his sons the priests. The priest shall examine the affected area on the skin. If the hair in it has turned white, and it appears deeper than the surrounding skin, it is a serious skin condition. The priest shall declare the person unclean. But if the bright spot is white on the skin, not deeper than the skin, and the hair has not turned white, the priest shall isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine. If the condition has not changed and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall isolate for another 7 days. The priest shall examine again on the 7th day. If the condition has faded and not spread, the priest shall declare the person clean. It is only a scab. They shall wash their clothes and be clean. But if the scab spreads widely on the skin, after being shown to the priest for cleansing, they shall appear before the priest again. If the priest sees that the scab has spread, the priest shall declare unclean. It is a serious skin condition. When a serious skin condition appears on a person, they shall be brought to the priest. The priest shall examine. If there is a white swelling on the skin that has turned the hair white, and there is raw flesh in the swelling, it is a chronic skin condition on the body. The priest shall declare unclean without isolating, for the person is unclean. But if the condition spreads all over the skin, covering the body from head to foot wherever the priest looks, then the priest shall examine. If it covers the whole body, the priest shall declare the affected person clean. Since it has all turned white, they are clean. Whenever raw flesh appears, however, they shall be unclean. The priest shall examine the raw flesh and declare unclean raw flesh is unclean. It is a serious condition. But if the raw flesh changes back to white, they shall come to the priest. The priest shall examine. If it has turned white, the priest shall declare clean. They are clean. Also, when the body has a boil on the skin and it heals, and in the place of the boil there is a white swelling or a reddish-white bright spot, it shall be shown to the priest. The priest shall examine. If it appears deeper than the skin, and its hair has turned white, the priest shall declare unclean. It is a serious skin condition broken out in the boil. But if the priest examines, and there are no white hairs in it, and it is not deeper than the skin but has faded, the priest shall isolate for 7 days. If it spreads widely on the skin, the priest shall declare unclean. It is diseased. But if the bright spot stays in place and does not spread, it is the scar of the boil. The priest shall declare clean. Or when the body has a burn on the skin from fire, and the raw burn becomes a bright spot, reddish white or white, the priest shall examine it. If the hair in the spot has turned white, and it appears deeper than the skin, it is a serious condition broken out in the burn. The priest shall declare unclean. It is a serious skin condition. But if the priest examines, and there is no white hair in the bright spot, and it is no deeper than the skin but has faded, the priest shall isolate for 7 days. The priest shall examine on the 7th day. If it has spread widely on the skin, the priest shall declare unclean. It is a serious skin condition. If the bright spot stays in place and does not spread on the skin, but has faded, it is a swelling from the burn. The priest shall declare clean, for it is the scar of the burn. If a man or woman has a condition on the head or in the beard, the priest shall examine. If it appears deeper than the skin, and there is thin yellow hair in it, the priest shall declare unclean. It is an itch, a serious condition of the head or beard. If the priest examines the itching condition, and it appears no deeper than the skin with no black hair in it, the priest shall isolate the person with the itch for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine. If the itch has not spread, and there is no yellow hair in it, and it appears no deeper than the skin, the person shall shave, but not the affected area. The priest shall isolate for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine the itch. If it has not spread on the skin, and appears no deeper than the skin, the priest shall declare clean. They shall wash their clothes and be clean. But if the itch spreads widely on the skin after being declared clean, the priest shall examine. If it has spread, the priest need not look for yellow hair. The person is unclean. But if in the priest's view the itch has stopped and black hair has grown in it, the itch is healed. They are clean. The priest shall declare clean. If a man or woman has bright spots on the skin of the body, white bright spots, the priest shall examine. If the bright spots on the skin are dull white, it is a harmless rash broken out on the skin. They are clean. If a man's hair falls out from his head, he is bald but clean. If his hair falls out from the front of his head, he has baldness on the forehead. but is clean. But if on the bald head or forehead there is a reddish-white diseased spot, it is a serious condition, breaking out on the bald head or forehead. The priest shall examine. If the swelling of the disease is reddish-white on the bald head or forehead, like a serious skin condition on the body, the person is affected, they are unclean. The priest shall declare unclean, the condition is on the head. The person with the condition shall wear torn clothes. Let the hair be disheveled, cover the mustache, and cry out, "Unclean, unclean." As long as the condition lasts, they remain unclean. They shall live alone. Their dwelling shall be outside the camp. When a serious condition appears in a garment woolen or linen, in warp or woof of linen or wool, or in leather or anything made of leather, if the condition is greenish or reddish in the garment, warp, woof, or leather article, it is a serious condition and shall be shown to the priest. The priest shall examine and isolate the article with the condition for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall examine. If the condition has spread in the garment, warp, woof, or leather, whatever the leathers use, it is a malignant condition. It is unclean. He shall burn the garment warp or woof, woolen or linen, or any leather article with the condition, for it is malignant. It shall be burned in fire. If the priest examines and the condition has not spread in the garment, warp, woof, or leather article, the priest shall order the article washed and isolated for another 7 days. The priest shall examine after washing. If the spot has not changed color and has not spread, it is unclean. You shall burn it in fire, whether the corrosion is on the inside or outside. If the priest examines and the condition has faded after washing, he shall tear it out from the garment or leather, or from the warp or woof. If it still appears in the garment, warp, woof, or leather article, it is spreading. You shall burn the article with fire. But if the condition disappears from the garment, warp, woof, or leather article after washing, it shall be washed a second time and shall be clean. This is the law for a serious condition in a woolen or linen garment, in warp or woof, or in any leather article, to declare it clean or unclean. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, "This is the procedure when a man who has suffered from a serious, spreading skin disease is to be pronounced clean again. The man is brought to the priest. The priest goes outside the camp to examine him. If the priest sees that the skin disease has completely healed, he gives these commands. 2 live, clean birds are brought, most likely small desert birds, such as turtle doves or sparrows, along with a piece of cedar wood, a length of crimson wool yarn, and a bunch of fresh hyssop. One of the birds is slaughtered over an earthenware bowl that stands in a stream of running water. The living bird, the cedar stick, the crimson yarn, and the hyssop are then dipped together into the blood of the slaughtered bird, still held over the flowing water. The priest sprinkles some of this mixture 7 times over the man who is to be cleansed. Then he declares him clean and releases the living bird to fly away freely into the open wilderness. The man now considered clean must wash all his garments, shave every hair from his body, and bathe his whole body in water. Only then may he come back into the camp. Even so, he must remain outside his own tent for 7 full days. On the 7th day he shaves every hair from his body, once more his head, his beard, his eyebrows, all of it. He washes his garments again and bathes his body thoroughly in water. Now he is clean. On the 8th day he brings 2 unblemished male lambs, 1 unblemished yearling female lamb, a grain offering of the finest wheat flour mixed with olive oil, and a small measure of pure olive oil. The priest who is performing the cleansing leads the man and these offerings to the entrance of the tent of meeting, in the presence of the Lord. The priest takes 1 male lamb and presents it together with the oil as a guilt offering. He lifts them and waves them before the Lord as a special wave offering. The lamb is then slaughtered in the holy place, the same area where sin offerings and burnt offerings are killed. The priest takes some of the blood of this guilt offering and places a drop on the right earlobe of the man. Being cleansed on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. He pours some of the olive oil into the palm of his own left hand. With his right finger, he dips into the oil and sprinkles it 7 times before the Lord. Then he applies the remaining oil in his hand to the same 3 places: right earlobe, right thumb, right big toe, directly over the blood already there. Any oil still left in his palm, he pours over the head of the man being cleansed. In this way, the priest makes atonement for him before the Lord. Afterward, the priest offers the sin offering and then the burnt offering on the bronze altar, and the man is fully cleansed. But if the man is poor and cannot afford the 2 lambs and the other offerings, he may instead bring 1 male lamb for the guilt offering to be waved, a smaller grain offering of fine flour mixed with oil, the same measure of olive oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, 1 for a sign offering and 1 for a burnt offering. On the 8th day, he brings these to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The priest follows the same steps. The lamb and oil are waved. The lamb is slaughtered. Blood is placed on the right ear, thumb, and toe. Oil is sprinkled 7 times before the Lord. More oil is applied over the blood, and the rest is poured on the man's head. Then the birds are offered as sin offering and burnt offering. In this way, the priest makes atonement for the poor man, and he becomes clean. This is the full procedure for cleansing a person who has had a serious skin disease, whether he is rich or poor. The Lord also spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "When you enter the land of Canaan that I am giving you as a possession, and a spreading mark like that, same condition appears on the walls of a house, the owner of the house must come and tell the priest, 'It appears to me that there is a mark on the house.' The priest orders the house to be completely emptied before he enters to examine it, so that nothing inside becomes affected. The priest goes inside and inspects the walls. If he sees greenish or reddish streaks that look sunken into the mud plaster or lime coating of the wall, he leaves the house, stands at the doorway, and shuts the house up for 7 days. On the 7th day he returns and looks again. If the marks have spread on the walls, he orders the affected stones to be pulled out and carried outside the settlement to an unclean place. The inside walls are then scraped all around, and the scraped off plaster and dust are taken outside the settlement to an unclean place. New stones are set in place of the removed ones, and fresh mud plaster or lime is applied over the walls. But if, after this, the marks reappear and spread again, it is a serious spreading condition in the house. The house is unclean. In that case, the entire house stones, wooden beams, and plaster is torn down and carried outside the settlement to an unclean place. Anyone who enters the shut-up house during those days becomes unclean until evening. Anyone who lies down or eats inside must wash his garments. But if the priest returns, inspects the house after the replastering, and sees that the marks have not spread, he declares the house clean because the problem has been healed. To finish cleansing the house, the priest takes 2 birds, cedar wood, crimson yarn, and hyssop. He kills 1 bird over an earthen bowl in running water, dips the living bird, cedar, yarn, and hyssop into the blood and water, and sprinkles the house 7 times. In this way, he cleanses the house with the blood, the running water, the living bird, cedar, hyssop, and crimson yarn. Then he releases the living bird outside the settlement into the open fields, and the house is clean. These are the instructions concerning every kind of skin disease: marks on garments, marks on houses, swellings, rashes, and bright spots, to teach the people of Israel how to distinguish between what is unclean and what is clean. The Lord spoke once more to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when any man has a continual discharge coming from his body, he is unclean because of it, whether the discharge flows or is blocked. It makes him unclean. Any bed he lies on and any seat he sits on becomes unclean. Anyone who touches his bed must wash his garments, bathe in water, and remain unclean until evening. The same applies to anything he is sat on. Anyone who touches the man himself must wash his garments, bathe, and remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge spits on someone who is clean, that person must wash his garments, bathe, and remain unclean until evening. Any saddlecloth or seat he rides on becomes unclean. Anyone who touches anything that was under him must wash his garments, bathe, and remain unclean until evening. If he touches anyone without first rinsing his hands in water, that person must wash his garments, bathe, and remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot he touches must be broken. Any wooden vessel must be rinsed with water. When the discharge finally stops, the man counts 7 days for his cleansing. He washes his garments, bathes his whole body in running water, and then he is clean. On the 8th day, he takes 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and brings them to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The priest offers one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, and in this way makes atonement for the man because of his discharge. If a man has an emission of semen, he must bathe his whole body in water and remain unclean until evening. Any garment or leather item that has the semen on it must be washed in water and remain unclean until evening. If a man and woman lie together and there is an emission of semen, both must bathe in water and remain unclean until evening. When a woman has her regular monthly flow of blood, she remains set apart for 7 days. Anyone who touches her during this time becomes unclean until evening. Anything she lies on or sits on during those days is unclean. Anyone who touches her bed or anything she has sat on must wash his garments, bathe in water, and remain unclean until evening. If a man lies with her during her monthly flow and her blood touches him, he becomes unclean for 7 days, and any bed he lies on becomes unclean. If a woman has a flow of blood for many days outside her normal monthly time, or if it continues longer than usual, she remains unclean for as long as the flow lasts, just as during her regular time. Anything she lies on or sits on during those days is unclean. These are the laws concerning discharges, whether from a man or a woman, regular or irregular, and concerning anyone who becomes unclean through contact with them. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron your brother. Warn him that he must never enter the most holy place inside the veil at any time, in front of the cover that rests on the ark. Otherwise he will die. I appear in the cloud above that cover. This is how Aaron may enter the most holy place. He must bring a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He must put on the sacred linen tunic, wear linen undergarments next to his skin, tie a linen sash around his waist, and wrap a linen turban on his head. These are the holy garments. First he must bathe his whole body in water, and only then put them on. From the people of Israel, he must take 2 male goats for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron first offers the bull as a sin offering for himself and for his household, making atonement for them. Then he takes the 2 goats and presents them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He casts lots over the 2 goats, 1 lot marked for the Lord, and the other lot marked for the goat that will be sent away. With his finger, he sprinkles some of the blood on the altar 7 times. In this way, he cleanses the altar and sets it apart from the uncleanness of the Israelites. Aaron places both his hands on the head of the live goat and confesses over it all the wrongdoings, rebellions, and sins of the Israelites, putting them all on the goat's head. Then he sends the goat away into the wilderness in the care of a man appointed for this task. The goat carries all their wrongdoings on itself to a desolate, uninhabited land, and the man releases it there in the wilderness. Aaron returns to the tent of meeting. He removes the linen garments he wore when he entered the most holy place and leaves them there. He bathes his body with water in a holy place, puts on his regular priestly garments, comes out, and offers the burnt offering for himself and the burnt offering for the people, making atonement for himself and for the people. He burns the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who released the goat that carried away sin must wash his garments, bathe his body in water, and only then return to the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought into the most holy place to make atonement, are carried outside the camp. This will be a permanent law for you, to make atonement for the Israelites for all their sins once every year. And Aaron did everything exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "Speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all the Israelites. Tell them, this is what the Lord has commanded. Any Israelite who slaughters an ox, a lamb, or a goat, whether inside the camp or outside the camp, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to present it as an offering to the Lord, before the Lord's dwelling, that man is guilty of bloodshed. He has shed blood and must be cut off from his people. This rule is so that the Israelites will bring their sacrifices, which they have been offering in the open fields, to the Lord. They must bring them to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting and offer them as fellowship offerings to the Lord. The priest will sprinkle the blood against the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting and burn the fat as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. From now on, they must never again offer their sacrifices to the goat demons they have been following and serving. This is a lasting law for them throughout their generations. Tell them, any Israelite or any foreigner living among you who offers a burnt offering or any other sacrifice, but does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to offer it to the Lord, that man must be cut off from his people. Any Israelite or foreigner living among you who eats any blood, I will turn my face against that person and cut him off from his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to make atonement for your lives. It is the blood that makes atonement for the soul. That is why I have said to the Israelites, no one among you may eat blood, nor may any foreigner living among you eat blood. Any Israelite or foreigner living among you who hunts and catches an animal or bird that may be eaten must pour out its blood and cover it with dust. For the life of every creature is its blood. That is why I have said to the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any creature, because the life of every creature is its blood. Anyone who eats it must be cut off. Every person, whether Israelite or foreigner, who eats anything that died naturally, or was torn by wild animals must wash his garments, bathe himself in water, and remain unclean until evening. Then he will be clean. But if he does not wash his clothes or bathe his body, he will bear his guilt.
You must not approach your father's brother's wife. She is your aunt. You must not uncover the nakedness of your daughter, and Lashay is your son's wife. You must not take your wife's sister as a second wife during your wife's lifetime to cause rivalry and uncover her nakedness. You must not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is set apart during her monthly uncleanness. You must not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife and defile yourself with her. You must not give any of your children to be passed through the fire to Molech, and you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You must not lie with a man as one lies with a woman. It is an abomination. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is unacceptable and will not be credited to you. You must not deal falsely. You must not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor put any tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. I am the Lord your God. You must stand up in the presence of the grey-haired and honor the face of the old. You must fear your God. I am the Lord. When a foreigner lives with you in your land, you must not mistreat him. I am the Lord your God. You must not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantity. You must have accurate scales, accurate weights, an accurate ephah, and an accurate hin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you must keep all my statutes and all my judgments and carry them out. I am the Lord.
The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, These are the appointed times of the Lord, the holy convocations that you shall proclaim as my appointed feasts. For 6 days work may be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of complete rest, a holy convocation. You must do no work on it. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the appointed feasts of the Lord, the holy convocations that you shall proclaim at their appointed times. In the 14th day of the first month, at twilight, is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. For 7 days you must eat bread made without leaven. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You must do no regular work. For 7 days you shall present offerings made by fire to the Lord. On the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation. You must do no regular work. The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you come into the land that I am giving you and reap its harvest, you shall bring a sheaf of the first ripe grain of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord, so that it may be accepted on your behalf. The priest shall wave it on the day after the Sabbath. On the day you wave the sheaf, you shall offer a male lamb without blemish, in its first year, as a burnt offering to the Lord. The grain offering with it shall be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to the Lord, a pleasing aroma, and the drink offering with it shall be 1/4 of a hin of wine. You must not eat any bread or parched grain or fresh ears of grain until this very day, until you have brought the offering to your God. This is a lasting statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You shall count 7 full weeks from the day after the Sabbath, the day you brought the sheaf of the wave offering. You shall count until the day after the 7th Sabbath 50 days, and then you shall present a new grain offering to the Lord. You shall bring from your homes 2 loaves of bread for a wave offering. They shall be made of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour, baked with leaven. They are the first fruits to the Lord. With the bread you shall offer 7 male lambs without blemish in their first year, 1 young bull and 2 rams. They shall be a burnt offering to the Lord, with their grain offering and their drink offerings, an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Then you shall sacrifice 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs in their first year as a sacrifice of fellowship offerings. The priest shall wave them together with the bread of the firstfruits as a wave offering before the Lord, along with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. On that same day you shall proclaim it as a holy convocation. You must do no regular work. This is a lasting statute in all your dwellings throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you must not reap right to the edges of your field, nor gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a day of complete rest, a memorial proclaimed with the blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You must do no regular work, but you shall present an offering made by fire to the Lord." The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "On the 10th day of this 7th month is the Day of Atonement. It shall be a holy convocation for you. You shall humble yourselves and present an offering made by fire to the Lord. You must do no work at all on that day, because it is the Day of Atonement, to make atonement for you before the Lord your God. Any person who does not humble himself on that very day must be cut off from his people. Any person who does any work on that day, I will destroy that person from among his people. You must do no work at all. This is a lasting statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for you, and you shall humble yourselves. On the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening, you shall observe your Sabbath." The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Booths to the Lord for 7 days. On the first day there shall be a holy convocation. You must do no regular work. For 7 days you shall present offerings made by fire to the Lord. On the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation and present an offering made by fire to the Lord. It is a solemn assembly. you must do no regular work. These are the appointed feasts of the Lord, that you shall proclaim as holy convocations, to present offerings made by fire to the Lord, burnt offerings, grain offering sacrifices, and drink offerings, each on its proper day, besides the Sabbaths of the Lord, besides your gifts, besides all your vows, and besides all your free will, offerings that you give to the Lord. Also, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the produce of the land, you shall keep the feast of the Lord for 7 days. On the first day there shall be a complete rest, and on the 8th day a complete rest. On the first day you shall take branches of goodly trees, palm branches, branches of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. You shall keep it as a feast to the Lord for 7 days in the year. This is a lasting statute throughout your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall live in booths for 7 days. All who are native-born Israelites must live in booths, so that your descendants may know that I made the Israelites live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses declared to the Israelites the appointed feasts of the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the Israelites to bring you pure beaten olive oil for the light, so that the lamps may burn continually. Outside the veil of the testimony, in the tent of meeting, Aaron shall keep the lamps in order from evening until morning before the Lord continually. This is a lasting statute throughout your generations. He shall keep the lamps in order on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord continually. You shall take fine flour and bake 12 loaves. 2/10 of an ephah shall be in each loaf. You shall set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, on the pure gold table before the Lord. On each row you shall put pure frankincense, so that it may be on the bread as a memorial, portion and offering made by fire to the Lord. Every Sabbath day Aaron shall set the bread in order before the Lord continually. It is from the Israelites by an everlasting covenant. It shall belong to Aaron and his sons. They shall eat it in a holy place, because it is most holy to him, from the offerings made by fire to the Lord, a perpetual statute. Now the son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the Israelites. This son of the Israelite woman and a man of Israel got into a fight in the camp. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. They brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelemith, daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Bring the one who cursed outside the camp. Let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and let the whole congregation stone him. Speak to the Israelites and say, Whoever curses his God shall bear his sin. Whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord must surely be put to death. The whole congregation shall certainly stone him, whether foreigner or native-born. When he blasphemes the name, he shall be put to death. Whoever kills any man shall surely be put to death. Whoever kills an animal shall make restitution animal for animal. If a man causes a defect in his neighbor, as he has done, so it shall be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused a defect in a man, so it shall be done to him. Whoever kills an animal shall restore it, but whoever kills a man shall be put to death. You shall have one law for both the foreigner and the native-born, for I am the Lord your God. And Moses spoke to the Israelites, and they brought the one who had cursed outside the camp, and stoned him with stones. The Israelites did as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the Israelites, and say to them, When you come into the land that I am giving you, the land itself shall observe a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather its produce. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. You must not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You must not reap what grows of itself from your harvest, nor gather the grapes from your unpruned vines. It is a year of rest for the land. The produce of the land's Sabbath shall be food for you, for your male servant, for your female servant, for your hired worker, and for the foreigner living among you. It shall also be food for your livestock, and for the wild animals in your land. All its produce shall be for food. You shall count 7 Sabbaths of years, 7 times 7 years, so that the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years is 49 years. Then on the 10th day of the 7th month, on the Day of Atonement, you shall cause a trumpet to sound throughout all your land. You shall make the 50th year holy, and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each one of you shall return to his own property, and each one shall return to his family. The 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. You must not sow, nor reap what grows of itself, nor gather the grapes from the unpruned vines, for it is a jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat its produce straight from the field. In this year of jubilee, each one of you shall return to his own property. If you sell anything to your neighbor, or buy from your neighbor, you must not wrong one another. You shall buy from your neighbor according to the number of years since the jubilee, and he shall sell to you according to the number of years of crops. If there are many years remaining, you shall increase the price accordingly. If few years remain, you shall decrease the price, for he is selling you a number of harvests. You must not wrong one another, but you shall fear your God. For I am the Lord your God. Therefore you shall keep my statutes and my judgments, and do them, so that you may live in the land in safety. The land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill, and live in the land securely. If you say, "What shall we eat in the 7th year, since we shall not sow or gather our produce?" Then I will command my blessing on you in the 6th year, and it will produce enough for 3 years. You shall sow in the 8th year, but you will eat from the old produce until the 9th year. Until its produce comes in, you shall eat the old store. The land must not be sold permanently, for the land is mine. You are strangers and sojourners with me. In all the land of your possession, you shall allow redemption for the land. If your brother becomes poor and sells some of his property, then if any of his close relatives comes to redeem it, he may redeem what his brother sold. If the man has no one to redeem it, but later becomes able to redeem it himself, he shall calculate the years from the time of sale and repay the balance to the buyer, so that he may return to his property. But if he is not able to redeem it, then what was sold shall remain in the hand of the buyer until the year of Jubilee. In the Jubilee it shall be released, and he shall return to his property. If a man sells a house in a walled city, he may redeem it within a full year after its sale. Within that year he may redeem it. But if it is not redeemed by the end of the year, the house in the walled city shall belong permanently to the buyer and his descendants. It shall not be released in the Jubilee. But houses in villages without walls around them shall be considered as open country. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released in the Jubilee. Nevertheless, the Levites may always redeem the houses in the cities of their possession. If a man buys from a Levite, the house that was sold in the city of his possession shall be released in the Jubilee, for the houses in the cities of the Levites are their possession among the Israelites. But the fields around their cities may not be sold, for they are their perpetual possession. If your brother becomes poor and his means fail while he is with you, you shall support him. He may live with you as a foreigner or sojourner. You must not take interest or profit from him, but you shall fear your God, so that your brother may live with you. You must not lend him your money at interest, nor give him your food for profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God. If your brother who dwells with you becomes poor and sells himself to you, you must not make him serve as a slave. He shall be with you as a hired worker or as a sojourner. He shall serve you until the year of Jubilee. Then he shall go free from you, he and his children with him, and he shall return to his own family and to the property of his fathers. For they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as slaves. You must not rule over him with harshness, but you shall fear your God. As for your male and female slaves whom you may have, you may buy them from the nations around you. You may also buy them from the foreigners living among you, or from their families born in your land. They may become your property. You may pass them on as an inheritance to your children after you, to own them permanently. But over your brothers, the Israelites, you must not rule one over another with harshness. If a foreigner or sojourner among you becomes rich, and your brother who dwells with him becomes poor, and sells himself to the foreigner or to a member of his family after he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brothers may redeem him, or his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any close relative from his family may redeem him. Or if he becomes able, he may redeem himself. He shall calculate with the one who bought him from the year he was sold until the year of Jubilee. The price of his sale shall be according to the number of years, as with a hired worker. If many years remain until the Jubilee, he shall pay back the redemption price accordingly from the money he was bought for. If few years remain until the year of Jubilee, he shall calculate accordingly and pay for his redemption according to the years remaining. He shall be treated as a hired worker year by year. The buyer must not rule over him with harshness in your sight. If he is not redeemed by these means, then he shall go free in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For the Israelites are my servants. They are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Here is the final continuation in the same style, a smooth flowing voiceover narration that stays completely faithful to the original text, uses clear and simple language understandable to everyone, keeps the meaning characters and sequence intact, avoids any later religious symbols, and reflects the ancient Near Eastern setting of the time of Moses, late Bronze Age Israelite camp in the wilderness. Moses, now 85 years old, has long flowing gray-white hair that falls past his shoulders and a full, long beard, both signs of great age and authority among the people. Aaron, also 85 years old, has thick gray hair, somewhat shorter than Moses, and a neatly trimmed full beard. Both wear simple ankle-length tunics of undyed wool or linen, tied at the waist with a woven belt, and rectangular woolen mantles with knotted fringes at the four corners over their shoulders. They carry wooden staffs and move slowly through the vast camp of goats, hair tents that surround the central tent of meeting, its acacia wood frame covered with gold overlaid boards, curtains of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and heavy outer layers of tanned ram skins and fine leather. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "You shall make no idols for yourselves, nor set up any carved image or standing pillar, nor place any figured stone in your land to bow down to it. For I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you rain in its proper season, and the land will yield its produce, and the trees of the field will yield their fruit. Your threshing will last until the grape harvest, and the grape harvest will last until the time of sowing. You will eat your bread to the full, and dwell safely in your land. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down with no one making you afraid. I will remove harmful wild animals from the land, and no sword will pass through your land. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall before you by the sword. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will put 10,000 to flight. Your enemies will fall before you by the sword. I will turn toward you, make you fruitful, and multiply you, and confirm my covenant with you. You will eat old stored grain, and bring out the old because of the new. I will set my dwelling place among you, and my soul will not reject you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt so that you would no longer be their slaves. I broke the bars of your yoke and made you walk upright. But if you will not listen to me and will not do all these commandments, if you reject my statutes and your soul abhors my judgments, so that you do not do all my commandments and break my covenant, then I also will do this to you. I will appoint over you sudden terror, wasting disease and fever that consumes the eyes and causes deep sorrow of heart. You will sow your seed in vain, for your enemies will eat it. I will set my face against you, and you will be struck down before your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will flee when no one pursues you. If after all this you still will not listen to me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. I will break the pride of your power. I will make your sky like iron and your earth like bronze. Your strength will be spent in vain. Your land will not yield its produce, and the trees of the land will not yield their fruit. If you continue to walk contrary to me and refuse to listen to me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you, according to your sins. I will also send wild beasts among you that will rob you of your children, destroy your livestock, and reduce your numbers, so that your roads lie deserted. If by these things you are not turned to me, but continue to walk contrary to me, then I also will walk contrary to you, and will strike you yet 7 times for your sins. I will bring a sword upon you that will execute vengeance for the breaking of the covenant. When you gather together in your cities, I will send pestilence among you, and you will be delivered into the hand of the enemy. When I break your staff of bread, 10 women will bake your bread in one oven and will ration your bread by weight. You will eat, but not be satisfied. If after all this you still will not listen to me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you in fury. I myself will chastise you 7 times for your sins. You will eat the flesh of your sons, and you will eat the flesh of your daughters. I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and cast your dead bodies upon the remains of your idols. My soul will abhor you. I will lay your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries to desolation. I will not smell the pleasing aroma of your offerings. I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies who dwell in it will be appalled at it. I will scatter you among the nations, and draw out a sword after you. Your land will be desolate, and your cities in ruins. Then the land will enjoy its Sabbaths as long as it lies desolate, and you are in the land of your enemies. At that time the land will rest and enjoy its Sabbaths. As long as it lies desolate, it will have rest, the rest it did not have during your Sabbaths when you lived on it. As for those of you who are left, I will send faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. The sound of a driven leaf will put them to flight. They will flee as one flees from the sword, and they will fall when no one pursues. They will stumble over one another as though before a sword, even though no one is pursuing. You will have no power to stand before your enemies. You will perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies will consume you. Those who are left among you will waste away in their iniquity in the lands of your enemies, and also in the iniquities of their fathers they will waste away with them. But if they confess their iniquity, and the iniquity of their fathers and their treachery that they committed against me, and also in walking contrary to me, if then their uncircumcised heart is humbled, and they accept the punishment of their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. The land also will be left by them, and will enjoy its Sabbaths, while it lies desolate without them. They will accept the punishment of their iniquity, because they rejected my judgments, and their soul abhorred my statutes. Yet for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them, so as to destroy them completely and break my covenant with them. For I am the Lord their God, but for their sake I will remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes, the judgments, and the laws that the Lord made between himself and the Israelites on Mount Sinai through Moses. The Lord spoke to Moses again, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when a man makes a special vow to the Lord by giving the value of persons, your valuation shall be as follows. For a male from 20 years old up to 60 years old, the valuation shall be 50 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. If it is a female, the valuation shall be 30 shekels. If the age is from 5 years up to 20 years, the valuation for a male shall be 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. If the age is from 1 month up to 5 years, the valuation for a male shall be 5 shekels of silver, and for a female 3 shekels of silver. If the age is 60 years or more, the valuation for a male shall be 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. But if the person is too poor to pay the valuation, he shall be presented to the priest, and the priest shall value him according to what the one who vowed can afford. If the vow concerns an animal that may be offered as an offering to the Lord, any such animal given to the Lord shall be holy. He must not exchange it or substitute a good one for a bad one, or a bad one for a good one. If he does substitute one animal for another, then both it and its substitute shall be holy. If it is an unclean animal that cannot be offered to the Lord, the animal shall be presented before the priest. The priest shall value it, whether good or bad. Whatever value the priest gives, so it shall be. If the owner wishes to redeem it, he shall add 1/5 to your valuation. When a man dedicates his house as holy to the Lord, the priest shall value it, whether good or bad. As the priest values it, so it shall stand. If the one who dedicated it wishes to redeem his house, he shall add 1/5 to the money of your valuation, and it shall be his. If a man dedicates to the Lord part of the field of his possession, your valuation shall be in proportion to the seed required for it. A homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he dedicates his field from the year of Jubilee onward, it shall stand at your valuation. But if he dedicates his field after the Jubilee, the priest shall calculate the price for him according to the years that remain until the next Jubilee, and the valuation shall be reduced accordingly. If the one who dedicated the field wishes to redeem it, he shall add 1/5 to the money of your valuation, and it shall be assured to him. But if he does not redeem the field, or if he has sold the field to another man, it shall no longer be redeemed. When the field is released in the Jubilee, it shall become holy to the Lord as a devoted field. Its possession shall belong to the priest. If a man dedicates to the Lord a field that he has bought, which is not part of his inherited property, the priest shall calculate its value up to the year of Jubilee, and the man shall give the valuation on that day as a holy thing to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field shall return to the one from whom it was bought, to the original owner of the land. All your valuations shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary, 20 gerahs to the shekel. Only the firstborn of the animals, which as firstborn belong to the Lord, no one may dedicate. Whether ox or sheep, it is the Lord's. If it is an unclean animal, he may redeem it according to your valuation, and add 1/5. If it is not redeemed, it shall be sold according to your valuation. But no devoted thing that a man devotes to the Lord from all that he has, whether man, animal, or field of his possession, may be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. No person devoted to destruction may be ransomed. He must surely be put to death. Every tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the trees, is the Lord's. It is holy to the Lord. If a man wishes to redeem any of his tithes, he shall add 1/5 to it. As for every tithe of the herd or flock, of whatever passes under the rod, the 10th shall be holy to the Lord. He shall not inquire whether it is good or bad, nor shall he exchange it. If he does exchange it, both it and its substitute shall be holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commandments that the Lord commanded Moses for the Israelites on Mount Sinai. And that's the book of Leviticus, a complete guide to living close to a holy God. Next time, we'll continue the journey through the Bible. Thanks for listening. See you in the next chapter.